Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the stream. So now that the semifinals week has just concluded, we're about to begin the Mappool Showcase for the finals round. I am Jinjin, your Mappool commentator for today, and I have here with me, joined by Surf Chu. How is it going, Surf?
Hello. Well, it's an honor to be with one of the legendary Osimania players
Oh my god.
in this Mapple showcase for the first of the two finals weeks we have. Well,
Yeah.
how was everything? Like, how was all the matches that you watched while I was here on the commentary booth with the rest of the team as well?
Yeah, we had quite a lot of banger matches for the semifinals, and I can't wait for the finals too next week. So yeah, we've seen a gradual build-up in the difficulty of the map pool so far, and we've already had some pretty tough-looking maps already in the semifinals. But we're not over yet because the finals map pool this year is also looking quite formidable. So without further ado, let's get right into the first map of the finals round, which is going to be our Rice Speed pick, Mitsuyoshi Takenobu no Ototo, Koakuma no Yuenchi, a map by PWHK. This is a famous song from BMS, which has a lot of BPM changes, but it's going to be used as a speed pick in this particular case, starting with with these delay streams that reach over 500 BPM at times.
Well, what I did notice from watching these pools really is it's basically the step up really from the semifinals pool. Like, this kind of abuses more really the amount of, let's say, I guess, like, basically the amount of stairs you need to deal with. Like, there are some broken stairs as you see here, which I think is already categorized as something like delay streams.
Yeah, these are delay streams, all right. And they're also, if you look at the snaps, they're all kind of different. And you just saw there was a pretty big trill there at the right hand for the piano. And that might trip a lot of players up.
I did notice though that it's the only trill section as well, so there might be some players that will be putting up mirror on this just for that trill.
Yeah, that's also completely possible. So here we get into a bit of a speed up section, and we're going into another part of that delay stream. Yeah, pretty fast.
Yeah, you did put it in notes, like some parts also go like 420 BPM, so they're gonna be blazing on their keyboards as well.
Yep, that's true. And yeah, I like playing through the finals map pool. It's really hard to get like scores above 900k, at least for me. Many players might do a lot better than me, of course, but yeah, this part is now, we're reaching the ending, and this part's quite hard too because the speed up just keeps happening, and you see all these different snaps here, and that basically concludes the map. So this is a pretty short pick all around, so it's also quite risky, I guess I'd say.
Now, up for the next pick is one of those things that we kind of need to shut up because
It is going to be
an OC original song by Level 4 featuring Yui Keba, Sentimental Surge, which is the primary density chord stream pick in this pool. So without further ado, we'll be shutting up for a sec. Here you go.
センチメンタルサイたとえ心が壊れてもたとえ体をなくしても変わり続けないものそれはあなたを思う気持ち 押し寄せる感情の波の中で私は探し続ける。深い青の奥に沈むあなたの姿を。センチメンタルサイズ。たとえ心が壊れても、たとえ体をなくしても変わり続けないもの、それはあなたを思う気持ち。押し寄せる感情の波の中で私は探し続ける。深い青の奥に沈むあなたの姿を。センチメンタルサイズ。センチメンタルサイズ。
And that's the second of the OSU original songs composed for this OSU Mania 7K World Cup. Also, just worth to mention, I mean, somebody told me that this might not be the only level 4 song that will be composed for this season of World Cups. Who knows? But anyways, let's talk about the chart for a sec.
Yeah, so this chart, as you've seen, it's just 190 BPM dense chord streams, and as you see, the length is quite long at 4 minutes and 12 seconds. So this is one of the longest maps in this pool, besides the tiebreaker. And so yeah, it's probably going to be testing a lot of that consistency and stamina aspects for the players.
Right now, moving on to the next pick, which will be our first LN pick that will be shown in this Mappool Showcase. We have Yari's Akari has arrived. Unfortunately, I forgot the actual Japanese name of this song, but anyways, considering that this is LN release, we're going to be seeing lots of wacky stuff all over. And not to mention, this is quite a step up from Lake Valor as well from semifinals. Obviously, you have the faster BPM, quite a step up on the density as well.
Yep, and I mean, the star rating does say that it is a 10-star map, but actually, personally, I think Technically speaking, this is going to be one of the easiest charts, one of the easiest long note charts that is for the pool. But since it's the release pick, it's just going to be harder to get a good accuracy.
Yeah, and that's also considering the OD as well. Despite Ellen picks being set on the more forgiving ODs, obviously this is an OD6. Like the releases here are quite harsh, so everybody has to be super careful of that. This isn't like your usual Ellen densities where everything is super consistent. Like you see some super irregular releases here that are just so trippy to pull up. And also, what is that one-handed Ellen bracket?
Oh yeah, that LM bracket is actually kind of comfortable to hit because this song is only 136 BPM, so this part is actually surprisingly quite easy. And as you can see here, our player Lightning Chicken is doing pretty well, continuing to get that combo going up.
Also a fairly long pick as well compared to Lake Valor last weekend. So like just barely touching 3 minutes. So lots of endurance really needed for these kinds of picks. People just really need to hold on to these long notes, both figuratively and literally.
Yeah, all those different releases, and I mean, if you look at it with the default skin, it does look really intimidating. But honestly speaking, this is going to be quite easy for some players to, in terms of the technical aspects. And this part's actually quite fun, but it does have all those different starey kind of releases and stuff.
It does look like, if you read it carefully, it looks like you're doing a reverting stare where the anchor, you just need to hold on to it just a tad bit more, and here we go, some more faster reverting. Ooh, that's a beautiful transition.
So yeah, we're reaching almost the end of the map, and we're basically rehashing the same intro that we had at the beginning of the map, and here is the end with some different release stuff.
Absolutely beautiful. Also,
Beautiful
those
indeed.
ending notes are kind of evil. Please don't forget about them.
Yeah. Was that an FC? I think that might have been an FC. Or an ET Lightning Chicken. But anyways, that's the end of our third map. Our next map is going to be our hybrid one, our generic hybrid pick. This is Zevol by Paul Kappa. This is going to be an Mania World Cup edit version. And so yeah, pretty standard kind of dense chord stream like patterns with a bit of long note density mixed in here and there.
I just got reminded that this is a composer of Zephyr as well. Like, I usually call Tash the Zephyr man, quote unquote. Shoutouts to Entozer for giving me that idea to call Tash that. But anyways, like, this thing is pretty straightforward for considering a lot of the hybrid picks that we've been seeing this entire World Cup.
Yeah, and this is actually somewhat rice oriented, I guess, if I can say, because these chord streams are actually quite dense, coming in at 185 dense chord streams, which is slightly lower than the one you saw for Sentimental Surge, which was 190 BPM. So this is the rice difficulty here is going to be a bit easier than the ones that you see in a pure rice pick, but you do see those rice and long note transitions here and there, and we have a bit of inverse section here too that might trip up some players.
Yeah, and as far as your notes do mention, there is also some quite the anchors here, as you see, column 6 and column 7, and it will transition as well to column 1, column 2. Basically, these chord streams, just like, you have to be super careful. Like, just make sure that you are able to filter out those anchors for your reading.
Yep, and this ending section is actually quite difficult in terms of that bracket usage. So that chord stream is worth something looking at. And yeah, and we get into another one of these long note sections. Our replayer, Blocko, the ET's ET in the universe, is doing pretty well, maintaining a good accuracy. up to the ending, which is pretty straightforward.
Now, up next is quite a familiar song to everyone, which is Freedom Dive, but this is a cut version and metal. There's a full-on metal arrangement of Freedom Dive. This clocks it at 211.11 BPM, which is 11 BPM slower than the original arrangement. Parents here are quite comfortable considering that this is the quote-unquote lighter of the two chord scene picks in this pool, but considering the speed, I doubt this is like... I doubt you could even call this less dense than the other chord... than the original song chord scheme that we had earlier.
Yeah, it's definitely the patterns are definitely much more comfortable to play, and definitely a bit on the less denser side. But it is still dense, so there is a significant amount of stamina aspect into this. We are going to have a small break in the middle after this chorus section, with that famous melody. But after that little bit of a break section, there is not going to be any more breaks until the end of the map, so it is critical to conserve your stamina for that ending section.
It just gives you a few seconds really to regain your bearings, and then it just hammers you already with these notes. There you go, density starts to pick up, and I do notice that the patterning becomes a tad bit harsher once you enter the final super dense chord stream now.
Yeah, that's true. So here we just entered the second part of the map, and for this part at least, it's still on par with the density that we saw before, but here comes the second repetition where the density starts to ramp up quite a bit, and this part is kind of hard. It's like 211 BPM dense chord streams.
Like, there are already I already see some brackets where they usually just limit themselves to like double stairs on these kinds of picks. Obviously, this transition here is super tricky to pull off.
Oh yeah, we had to nerf that ending transition like 4 times in a row because it was really hard before. But with that was the end of our 5th map. The next map, it's my map. This is going to be LN2, the LN coordination for this pick. In Love with the Ghost, Complex Feelings About My Own Existence, featuring Jungkook from BTS.
You mentioned BTS, and I got reminded by the code name we had for Duplicity Shade from last year. Was it like BTS featuring Camellia or something like that?
Yeah. Surprisingly, this actually happens to be a featured artist song. So yeah. Apparently, we do have a BTS featured song in the featured artist listing. But anyways, this is a bit different from the patterns found in Myosotis from the semifinals round, but it does still test a lot of coordination to a large extent.
Yeah, a bit more on the abrasive side as well. You also see some elements of these. What do you call these? Like, they're just basically LN stairs right now. Not really the usual pattern you'd see in the previous LN coordination picks that we had, which features a bit more straightforward transitions really to the other long notes. And here we go. I saw a bit more abuse, like smaller release gaps.
Yeah, these release gaps are a bit shorter, and it might trip some players. And we go back to the vocal delay streams here, which are actually, I'd say, a bit on the easier side compared to the rest of the map. And this map is also quite short, coming in at 1 minute and 35 seconds. So here's the end, and then the ending is quite evil.
Oh yeah, those trills are so beautiful.
Yeah.
Up next is another Rice pick, and this will be our primary chord jack pick, which is Hellblind's Unconquered, which is clocking at 140 BPM, yet another step up in the speed. So some players might notice that this might be easier than last year's chord jack pick, which was Life is Piano, since there is a bit of toning down on the density, but the higher BPM does make up for it, and obviously the OD setting at OD9 will be giving some players a hard time getting the accuracy as well.
Yeah, so last year's, as you said, last year's Life is Piano was 136 BPM, I believe. This one comes at 140 BPM, but the lighter and a bit easier or more comfortable patterning kind of makes up for that higher BPM. So players who are comfortable with playing 140 BPM chord jacks should have no problem playing this. Some of them might actually find this a lot easier than Life is Piano from last year, because there are those kind of breaks, a lot of breaks in the middle.
I do notice that like there's kind of a pattern here. Like for round of 16, the chord jacks are a bit more anchored. The following round, it's a bit more spread out. Then we had semifinals, which is a bit more anchored, and then this one, I mean, it does look like a bit quite anchored, but for most of the chart, it's actually pretty spread out. Well, except for that one anchor over there that just passed.
Yeah, we do have some long jacks here, coming eight notes, and just before that part, we also had a 1/6 snap jack, which is, I think that's 210 BPM jack. So those mini jacks should be quite fun.
Yep, and it'll keep bombarding you with these long jacks already before we even end the chart.
Yep,
Also,
and
this
these 4K patterns, 4K patterns.
4K patterns. See if there are any
So
teams that will be conquering the unconquered.
served you with another of his puns. So next up is going to be our 8th map, our technical hybrid pick. Even though this is technical hybrid, it's actually kind of a mix between technical hybrid and high BPM rolly hybrid. This is T Pazolite and Getty's Twisted Drop Party mapped by Reveling. We're going to see a lot of rolly patterns that can be... It'll be kind of tricky to hit because this BPM is quite fast, coming in at 200 BPM.
My first impression seeing this chart is that it's pretty much your standard Remmering hybrid, I would think. High BPM, super abrasive, kind of abusive on the shields as well, which is quite a good thing for a pool that you're really wanting to push the difficulty already.
Yeah, here we come to the rolly techie parts. So we have mini jacks here and all the rolls, and this part can definitely kind of be manipped, but that's going to cost your accuracy. So it's best to try to play well. And this part is actually quite difficult.
Yeah, it's practically pressing basically all 7 keys at this point. Essentially, it like all this to me, it already looks like just chord jacks being fancy.
Fancy indeed. And here we have a bit of a break section again, until we go back to the second half of the map, which is going to basically be similar to the part we saw for the first half.
This
Another-
is pretty fun.
Yeah, this part's pretty fun. Another extended section of the break, but we go back to the penguin-esque patterns.
Oh yeah, now you mentioned penguin. Okay, that does where be penguin.
Yeah, I'd say it's definitely much easier than penguin, but it is still quite hard.
Also, like I just like how big are these LN gaps actually? Are they just like 1/4, or are they shorter?
I'm pretty sure these are 1/4. The shorter ones, because this is on 200 BPM, I think those might be 1/4. I don't think it might be shorter. I forgot
Yeah.
if I checked yet or not.
Anything shorter would be harsh, I would think. But yeah, it's just super dense to look at, and this ending, like it may look pretty straightforward, but the amount of bursts that you kind of have to do with one hand is pretty tricky.
Yeah, so this ending again kind of building up until we get to that final ending, which concludes our 8th map of the pool. And so next up is going to be our LN3, our long note density pick, Sky Delta Cryonics, mapped by Kobe. I believe this is going to be our first map on rates because this is the 190 BPM version, which is I think like 1.03 rate.
I'm pretty sure we had one in the round of 60. I mean, no, not round of 16, more like quarterfinals if I remember correctly. Somebody could correct us on that. But anyways, like density LNs. Yeah.
Yeah, basically dense LN, that's pretty much it. But I do have to say that the LNs here are much harder than the LN difficulty that was in Replica, which was the semifinals LN density. So this is, even though LN density picks are usually favored by some of the Rice players out of all the LN pools, this one you might have to exercise some caution because these long notes are not that trivial to play.
Yeah, as I do notice that this is like the first like LN density pick where it's going to need most of your LN coordination skills in check as well. Especially that most of the pattern here really abuses already the finger independence factor of being able to hit long notes.
Indeed. And we do see some of those little inversey kind of sections here at the end. And this ending is actually quite fun. Because it's the easiest part of the map.
Yeah, the easiest part of the chart are going to be the most fun.
Yeah.
Like it builds tension. But anyways, here we go with one of my favorite charts in this pool, which is I'm Kidding, a chart by Lenpai, and this will be the primary tech pick, and this is a certified Len tech moment. You think Milan from quarterfinals is wacky? How about this?
I'm also sorry but not sorry for that background.
Yeah, it's a very beautiful background.
Very, very beautiful background indeed. So yeah, this is going to, as Surfshoe said, this is going to be closer to the patterns that you saw in Milan instead of Uncharted Sky from last week. So it just kind of abrasive bursts and jacks here and there. So that's going to make this extremely easy to miss, and this is going to be a very risky pick considering that the map is only 1 minute and 47 seconds long.
Also, that trail is so evil. Like, actually, when I was watching this on autoplay earlier, like I'm kind of having a hard time also picking up like where is this section charted to? The music itself is trippy. The chart itself is trippy. I'm not even sure how everyone will be tackling this. As you did mention, it will be quite a risky pick. I don't think that this is something anyone would be picking super early into a match.
Definitely not. And yeah, certified Lentech patterns, what can you say? But then this last section is a bit on the easier side, so maybe you can gain accuracy from here because this is more of a traditional jack-oriented pattern. Just don't miss like I did there.
The chart doesn't stop really bombarding you. So hope everyone is going to be having fun with this chart. Okay, up next.
So next up is the 11th map in our map pool. This is LN4, the LN mixed pick. Iowa covered by Suiso. This is Netsuijo by Ruka. And so this map is quite hard, I'd say. I think this might be one of the harder long note picks, if not the hardest.
Yep, and you're already seeing most of these like asymmetric LN transitions going from one column to another. Not to mention that a lot of this chart really likes to abuse these alternating patterns as well, as what the music actually implies.
Oh my god, those patterns. But yeah, if you play through this map, you're going to do notice that it is kind of repetitive. So this section is always just alternating patterns back and forth.
Like, I'm pretty sure like repetitive patterns really tend to trip up a lot of us really, since like it's super easy to mind block repetitive patterns, and this is just repetition central.
Repetition central. Yeah, so this middle section also kind of does feature some kind of grace notes here and there, as you see, but that LN difficulty just stays there for the entire time. And here we have a little bit of a break, which is kind of reminiscent of a long note release / coordination kind of part. But after this, we're going to jump back into the second half of the music, which is going to be kind of similar to what we had before.
Also, this transition to like the final pattern here, those drills.
Oh yeah, those
super easy to trip up on.
Vocal vibrato mapping right here. But yeah, the last chorus here is actually going to probably be one of the hardest parts of this chart, because this section is a bit denser than before, and also the long note sections become a bit harder too. So basically, from that last break that you just had, you need to conserve stamina for that last section, because this is a pretty sizable difficulty spike.
I do notice also that like this part here is more reliant really on your reading as well, because there's a lot of rice notes scattered throughout this entire section, and it's a bit more abrasive as well compared to like what we've seen earlier in the chart.
Yeah. Oh, that was an ET play by Huge Milo.
Yeah. We gotta drink our huge Milo mugs. But anyways, here comes our next pick, which is another hybrid pick. Actually, no, not hybrid. We have a mixed rice pick here, but featuring Hyun and Siapias, which is a cross soul, a chart by Paul Kappa. And this is a pretty short pick as well, clocking just above 2 minutes. And this intro section here immediately bombards you with some of these very irregular grace notes and some delay strings scattered here and there as well.
Yeah, that was the intro section, and here we have a bit of normal, kind of lighter density chord stream. So this part is the place where you can kind of gain your AC until you get to a more denser section, which comes later. But we transition here into a bit of an easier part, chord jacks. Yeah, I guess it can be kind of seen as a very slow chord jack, but with these anchors, it might be easy to trip up here, like I did in my replay. Oh wait, no, this is not my replay, this is Blocko's replay. I forgot to say that.
And then here we go with some of these. Okay, these chord streams are considerably different over what we saw on the other chord stream picks actually. Like there's a bit more, it's basically a combination of the two.
Yeah, and oh yeah, this is the vocal is the Japanese version. I realized I think the original version of this song is the Korean vocals, but I think Paul used the Japanese version for this one. But here we go back to those kind of rolly, delay-ish manip sections that we saw in the first half. And here the ending chorus is basically going to be a polyrhythmic delay stream section, which has that 1/4 and 1/3 stream together. But this is not that difficult compared to the rest of the chart. So as long as you can maintain your accuracy here, it should be fine.
Now, up next is yet another special pick, and this will be again one of those moments where we kind of have to stay quiet. Jinjin, take it away.
Yep. The next part is going to be another custom song for this Mania World Cup. We have Hino Isuka versus S-Don, and here we have Glorious.
And that is the second custom song in this map pool. As mentioned earlier, this is Hinoisuka versus S Dawn Glorious, a collaboration between the 5 map members of the map pool team for this MWC 7K, and this is the third hybrid pick as well in this pool.
And if maybe you have noticed this already, but there was a little Easter egg with the title of this song, because if you remember back in the semifinals, our hybrid 3 pick, Bouncing, the difficulty name was Glorious, and this time this song named Glorious has the difficulty name Bouncing. So basically this song is the sequel to that song.
Unfortunately, though, Bouncing was not picked during the semifinals weekend. Hopefully this time around we'll be able to see this in the matches.
Yeah, hopefully. So
now-
that concludes, this is the 13th map of this map pool. So next up is the 14th pick. This is going to be our long LN consistency. Niji Sanji, Virtual to Live, mapped by Lost Cool. So we don't have a maple syrup map this time around, but he ended up including another VTuber map.
Well, it's kind of fitting that it's Lost Cool's chart as well. I mean, we saw Thailand unfortunately getting eliminated in the semifinals weekend, and we saw how good Lost School was. And I guess in spirit, we'll be able to see Lost School in the finals weekend with this pick. So, like as usual with your hybrids, like, and this is the newer category since we are extended to a best of 13 now, so first to 7. So we will have new categories. This is one of them. And usually with your long hybrids, they will tend to be a bit more straightforward than the other straightforward hybrid.
Oh, this is the long note pick, not hybrid.
Oh wait. Yeah, it was long note. Okay.
Yeah,
Apologies
so
about that.
it's the long note pick. Basically testing all different kinds of long note consistencies. So yeah, this is a pretty long song coming in at 4 minutes and 24 seconds. So I think this is a bit longer than Sentimental Surge, but yeah, I think this is the longest map in the pool besides a tiebreaker. And as with all the consistency picks, this is going to be the easiest chart in the long note pool. I do see in the Twitch chat that some players might have overplayed this already, but don't worry. This has the MWC edit, which means some patterns have been tweaked. But yeah, we'll have to see how some players do on this.
There's a short break section here, and it turns into some releases as well. So I'm pretty sure like some people will be treating the staccato L's here mostly as rice, but obviously that will be penalized in your accuracy if you're not super careful. And like, what else is really to say about this chart? Really, like I guess like the second half is going to be tending more towards the like how you're able to read more of these denser stuff, and there are some rice notes interlaced here as well. So a lot of people might be, hopefully, are capable. I mean, all of the players in this remaining in this World Cup should be capable of reading through these.
Yeah, it's just a matter of consistency at this point. So just don't mess up. And yeah, we just saw that heart LN pattern there.
Yeah,
and another short.
Just had to mention.
Yeah, heart LNs are always nice. And another a bit of a break section here, and back to this dense LN section with some shields and all those O2 jammy patterns that we see.
Also, like the somewhat like double stare kind of thing slowly turns into like staccato LNs, and then eventually like that rice stare that we saw, then it just turns into like a full-on inverse, which is like a beautiful way to chart that.
Indeed. And yeah, back to the final chorus here, which is basically an upgraded version of everything we saw before. So obviously the ending is always going to be the hardest section. But yeah, with that, we have the ending, which is more shields and more inverse kind of patterns.
But overall comfortable though. Relatively comfortable.
Relatively comfortable, but still kind of tricky. So always gotta watch out for your accuracy and hope you don't miss. And hopefully some players hopefully don't overextend that long note hold at the end. But that was the end of the last pick. So this is our last non-tiebreaker pick, our long mixed rice pick. This is Asatsume, May versus Killerfish, the ultimate battle. That background is also worth kind of mentioning, but yeah, this is our long mixed rice pick coming in at 3 minutes and 27 seconds, so not as long as the long LN pick, but this is also going to just feature all kinds of different rice patterns here.
Like, this is, as you mentioned, this is a mixed rice pick, but considering the length, would it be right to say that this is relatively easier than the shorter mixed rice pick as well?
Yeah, this is actually, I'd say it's actually kind of similar in difficulty, but it should be a bit easier than the regular mixed rice pick. Yeah.
Mini jack to some short delays. Actually, that is pretty tricky to read.
Yeah, these mini jacks and delay burst patterns kind of stuff, and we do have chord jacks also mixed in here and there. So yeah, this is basically a true mixed rice pick, having all sorts of different mixed rice patterns. Up here we have a very stairy burst section, which is kind of manipulable.
Yeah, it's like at least at the level where I am on 7K, like it's kind of hard for me to see like how to even manip the.
But yeah, this is the break section. We are at the middle of the map, and here the song gradually increases in intensity again, and we do have a bit of bursts, stairs, and we just enter into the second half, which is going to be featuring more of those patterns that we saw in the first half of the map.
Here we go as we get yet to another of these build-ups. Like some mini jacks we inserted within these chord streams.
Yeah, back to the jacks and delay patterns, and these stairs are actually quite difficult to hit.
Yeah, it's asymmetric stairs that have like alternating brackets as well on one hand, and then going into these chord jacks yet again. It's relentless.
Just all kinds of different rice patterns. So I guess this is a mixed rice pick that does have a bit of focus on the jacks and the stairy bursts, but we do have another hard section here with all those jacks and bursts again. And here is the ending of the map where we reduce in the density, and so yeah.
At this point, like you just want to take everything home now. But okay, that ending. And that
Don't forget
ends...
those notes.
Yeah. Don't forget those final two notes in the end of that long note, and that also ends all of the regular picks. All of the regular picks in this map pool showcase, and up next will be the tiebreaker, which might be familiar to a lot of the very ET players among those who are watching the showcase.
Definitely going to be very familiar for many people because it is going to be Froms of Ambrosia by Blocko.
Yep. This is the ranked one, but edited, a bit nerfed from what I've noticed.
This is actually quite. This is edited, modified quite a lot from the ranked version. So don't worry if you already played the ranked version a lot, because some of the mind blocks that you might have had is not going to carry over to this one, because this edited version does add a lot more long note oriented patterns and also nerfs some of the very heavy rice heavy sections. So yeah, as you already saw in the intro is already kind of different because there are none of those really fast mini jacks, and those all have already been switched out for some of the less abrasive patterns.
This is like, see, these gallopy patterns are pretty fun to look at. Here we go again. Some of these, and then I noticed like a lot of heavy chords as well within these chord streams, which is wow. Also, was that a Korean letter somewhere in that pattern?
Oh, I didn't see. But yeah, here's that speed up section. This speed up section is pretty much identical to the ranked version, but the part that comes right after this speed up section has been completely changed into a long note oriented section. So we're gonna see long notes and jacks.
And as you mentioned, yeah, those are indeed long notes and jacks right there, and they're just interlaced with each other. How do you read this? Oh my goodness.
This is definitely hard, and I mean it is still like one of the hardest ranked map sets too. Props to our ET mapper Blocko. And this delay section has actually been nerfed a little, but it's still on the harder side, I guess. And then we have these inverse long note stairs here.
And you're already seeing like how much of a struggle maintaining a decent run on this, because our replay person here like barely maintaining the S before this break section.
Yeah, a brief shout out to the Mania World Cup United States team captain Turney.
Who is definitely playing this map pool before the rest of their team did.
Report. But here, we come back to this long note section and this rolly section. This part is also quite infamous for its difficulty, but this part has also been nerfed slightly in density, so it should be a bit more manageable than the ranked map set, but still on the more difficult side.
Oh boy. Wait, are those like just reverse shields really just right there? Like how big are those gaps even? Are they still 1/4 or are they shorter?
I actually don't know the BPM in this section, so maybe it is 1/4, maybe it could be like 1/8, who knows. But yeah, this part's still like that really dense LN and right section, very difficult. And we have a little bit of a break here.
And the break is an LN coordination section, is what we would have expected on these tiebreaker hybrids, really.
Yeah, but at this level, it's pretty much doable by most of the people. A bit of a change in the mood of the song here, and we go back to some of these kind of chord jacky patterns with some short long notes appearing here and there.
Like this is relatively bit more straightforward than the rest of the entire chart, but then it immediately transitions to more of these denser long notes, a bit abusive on your coordination and releases as well, and it doesn't really help that you have quite the abrasive rice patterns just surrounding them.
Yeah, even though this part is kind of easier compared to the part we saw in the first half of the map, this speed up section is also kind of difficult to act. And here we come to the ending, which is going to be the speed part of this map. This part's also relatively unchanged from the ranked map set. So the speedy delay section with that speed up in the right stairs going all the way up to 622 BPM streams, along with chord jacks here and there, as you see, and also some long notes coming.
I do notice like the delays just change up as the song repeats that section. Oh man, I'm getting tripped up reading this.
Yeah, and this ending is actually not that difficult. But yeah, just watch out for those very fast long note inverse stairs. And that concludes of Ambrosia, our finals map pool tiebreaker.
And of course, the entire Finals Mappool Showcase as well. And quite a lot of things to reflect on going into the matches next weekend.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to be having a lot of banger matches next week. And these map pools, hopefully, that we've prepared for you, should give a very fun watching experience for everyone. And hopefully the players will also be able to enjoy the maps prepared. And are there anything else left to say for us before we sign out? Should we talk about the banners again?
Yeah, might as well, as you mentioned it. Well, yeah, we have the Mania 7K World Cup 2023 profile banners up on the OSIS store. If you want to show support to the teams that you really cherish, feel free to purchase them over there. And the and all the purchases will be added to the prize pool. And of course, speaking of that prize pool, there is also the Open Collective Initiative that was started last year. Obviously, as you saw with these brutal map pools that we just passed through over the past hour or so, all of the players will be having quite a lot of difficulty, and they deserve all of the accolades for those, especially that are about to hit the podium. 2 of them already confirmed, just the placings pending.
Wow. That is nice. So yeah, with that, I guess this is the end of the Finals Mappool Showcase. So I guess both of us will be signing off now, and I will be seeing everyone next week in our finals matches.